In this video, let's talk about some of the basics of formatting within Excel 2007 and some of the ways that we can do it quickly to make our spreadsheets look their best. So first of all, let's talk about how to work with columns and rows when we need to resize and move around columns and rows. As you can see from this example, the information within my cells looks pretty bad, and that's not uncommon when we copy and paste from someone else's worksheet or maybe from a different table somewhere else. A lot of times we'll get information that looks like this, where the cells don't really line up and the information is cut off. So how do we fix that? Well, it's pretty quick and easy, and I'll show you some different ways to do it. The first thing I want you to notice, though, is that when we look at these names here, they're cut off because the cell is too small. My column width is too small, so it's cutting off the text. However, if we look over in column G, my text that says percent of goals met year to date, it's allowing that to spill over into other columns. And Excel will do that with text. So if there is a blank column to the right where the text is heading, the text will spill out of the column and continue on. It could even continue on to additional columns beyond the one immediately to the right. What's important to understand, though, is that text, even though it looks like it's in column H, it's not. If I click in cell H3, you'll notice there's nothing in my formula bar, but if I'm in G3, that's where my text is. So once again, even though it looks like my text is within two cells, it really is only within one. Now, if I've got other text or other values of any kind to the right, Excel will not allow the text to spill over into additional columns. It just cuts it off. But that's still different from how it handles numbers. So what you see here are these pound symbols or number signs, whatever you like to call them. What you'll notice, though, is instead of being cut off, it's just showing me these pound signs, and that means that there's a number or a date or something like that within those cells that was too large to fit within the column width. So to fix all these, let's go ahead and take a look. First, I'm going to go ahead with column E, since we want to see what really is behind those pound signs. And I'm going to come up here to my column E, and my cursor will change when I get to the right-hand side of the column label. And it changes to almost a plus sign. And what I can do then is resize the column. If I click with my left mouse and I hold it down, as I move the mouse, it'll show me with this dotted line whether I'm making it larger or smaller. So if I make it larger and then I let go of my mouse, you can see now I can reveal the values because the column has been made wider. A shortcut version of that is to come over here, and I'll try that with column B. I'll come over again to the right hand side until my cursor changes, and I'm just going to double click my left mouse. What that does is that resizes my column to be the best fit. So it's called the auto fit function. It automatically changes the size of my column to fit the text in based on the widest value. So whichever value within this column needs the most space, it's going to expand that column to fit in that largest value. So I can do that with column C, or if I really wanted to speed things up, one trick you can do is come up here, and when your mouse changes over top of the column label into that downward arrow, that means I can select my whole column if I hold down the left mouse button, and I can highlight, as I hold down the left mouse button, all of the columns at once. And if I was to click and drag and resize like we did the first time, it would resize all of my columns to the same size, whatever size I adjust this column to. But if I double click, that will resize all of my columns to the best fit for each column. So I don't have to do those one by one. Now, I could go through and show you how to do that with rows, but it works exactly the same. So if you understand that I just need to come over to the side of my column label, so in the case of columns, it's the right-hand side, and then I can resize that however I'd like. The same thing works with rows. It's just the bottom of the row label. And as I move that, it resizes, or if I double-click, it auto-fits it. So it works the same. Just remember that text will either get cut off or spill over, but numbers will always show the pound sign if they're being cut off, because it won't show those spilling over and it won't show a partial number or date.